Alright, so here we are with the first of the North Golden Gate puzzles. And this is another one. I had to condense my total video time down to... I did about 20 minutes playing at double speed, so it's going to take about 10 minutes, but this one was a new world record for how much time I spent on it. I think I spent more time on this one than I did on the last one, which was the one involving 3 lasers. And the funny thing about this one, the reason why I got stuck on this for so incredibly long, it was really weird. I almost tried to study it when it was over to see what exactly my block was. It wasn't that I didn't know the solution. I actually knew the exact solution. But for some reason, I couldn't execute it. And honestly, this is going to sound so weird, but I think the reason I couldn't execute it was that I just didn't try to execute it. I was thinking ahead and convincing myself that it wasn't going to work. Whereas if I had just kind of tried to go through the motions, I would have discovered that it did work. So I don't know how much of that is going to be we're going to be able to capture here on the video, but I could from a pretty early point, I could tell that the idea was you needed to take the little connector into that little back room corner there, because from back there you could make a blue connection followed by a red connection. But I could also tell that since the blue connection raised and lowered a door, and since you had to break the blue connection to make the red connection, that what you had to do was get one guy in this back room to adjust the connector from blue to red. And between blue and red, the other guy had to go into the room, the final room, right in front of the finish. Because he had to be in there because the door behind him was going to be shut when you broke the connection from blue to red. See, this is where I realized that you can make these connections here. And where I got hung up was this idea that I just didn't have enough material to get one guy in this back room right here, have the other guy be able to make connections and be able to hold the pressure plate down, which would lower the wall that's blocking the red laser beam. But in the end, all I really needed to do was one guy goes into that back room. I guess where I really got hung up was the block, because, and this is actually kind of a common thing that's happened to me in Talos games, where I'm trying to do 2 things at once when the solution is to do them one at a time. So you see there's 2 functions for the block here. Number 1, it opens the gate to make so that you can access the red laser. Number 2, it holds down that pressure plate so that you can get into that room. And actually the 3rd function, it operates the fan so that you can blow a guy from side to side. And I needed to do all 3 of those things in order to make this puzzle work, but I only have the 1 block. And what I really need to do was to do them in order 1, 2, 3, and use the block for each of those, except for the very last thing. Anyway, this video is about to cut to, I recorded about the first 10 minutes of me heading around, and then we're going to cut to the last 10 minutes. So let's see that cut right here. So now here's the last 10 minutes. At this point, I have been doing this for about 2 hours. I'm supremely frustrated. One thing that I thought might be the solution was that you had to be able to make a connection to both red and blue at the same time, and then like shut one off, using the gate or the door, but as is usual, that was not the solution. And it was rather impossible. At this point, I don't even know what I'm doing. I think I'm just trying to rule out that there's any other possible angle. When I'm stuck on these puzzles, sometimes I just will do a thing where I just kind of start over and then just kind of play through what the parts of it that I do know to see if something comes to me. And with this one, it was like, I don't know, again, it's so weird. It's like I just didn't play it through as far as I possibly could, because as soon as I did, I just saw, hey, wait a minute, I can do this. Let's see here, I'm trying to see if I can make the connectors, somehow operate the pressure plates. I still have no idea what I'm doing. I'm really glad I solved this without looking it up, but as I'm recording this, I don't feel satisfied with it, because I just feel like it was such a weird, dumb thing that I did. I didn't exactly, I got a kind of a strange sort of a spoiler for this puzzle. It wasn't exactly a spoiler. When I looked up, after I finished the last puzzle, I looked up that one, and I saw where someone had made like what they called a tier list of all these Golden Gate puzzles, and they didn't describe the details. They just described how hard they thought they were. And this one was someone actually referred to this one as trivial, like as in very easy. Okay, this might be where I'm finally starting to just play it through and see what happens, Anyway, yes, that's what I'm doing here. Someone described it as trivial, and that was kind of a strange spoiler for me, was the thought that, like, this must actually not be that hard. See, so here it is. I'm so close. And in fact, there's actually nothing stopping me here, and I don't know why I was so hung up. Because the one dude's in place. Here I mistakenly think that I've made the red connection when I haven't. And then all I need to come over here is just stand on the plate. Now the red connection didn't work. That laser beam is blocked by the wall, so I'm going to have to go back and do it again. And I actually have to reset the entire puzzle to do that. So we'll get to see the entire solve from beginning to end. But yeah, like, I think the guy who called it trivial was right. I mean, now when I re-look at it, it's like there was never any trick. And I almost want to study it more to figure out, like, I think that's another thing that's bothering me right now, is I can't figure out why, I can't put my finger on exactly what I was doing wrong for 2 hours. But I really think it was some version of what I just described. Like, I didn't just play the scenario out as far as I could. I was anticipating that I wasn't going to have enough equipment to do what I needed to do, but I did. I just had to do it. And I spent a lot of time driving myself nuts over whether or not, I knew like where the laser beam should go and whether I knew what this guy should do. But I did. I knew I was right. That really will kill a lot of time, I think, is when you have the right idea but you're kind of doing it wrong, versus just having the wrong idea. When you have the right idea but you're kind of doing it wrong, that can really take a lot of time. See, so now I just leave, grab the box, shoot myself over. And there you go. So I don't really know what the moral of this one was, the moral of the story. I guess it was just, play it through. And a lot of times it's the order that you do things, and a lot of times when you're trying to do multiple things at once, just see if you can do them one at a time. In the end, I think this one was pretty easy. And I have not played the next one yet. I wanted to record this first while the thoughts were fresh, but now I will move on to North 2. See how that goes. All right. This is our second puzzle. In the north section of embodied cognition, the North Golden Puzzles. Now this one was another sort of light beams puzzle. The only special gimmick that it had was this device that sucks in, red or blue, and then can basically turns into a portable emitter. You have to charge it up, and then it turns into a portable emitter. I always liked the puzzles with those. I found that they weren't... I didn't think they were too hard. I don't have a lot of bad memories of puzzles like that. I'll get to the... I'll spoil the ending of this video and just say I really had no trouble with this one. I just started making the moves that it looked like you could do, and I just kept doing them until it got to the solution. I think this puzzle was a good demonstration of my Talos IQ, which I think has grown considerably from the first time I ever played Talos. I think a puzzle like this would have just completely perplexed and baffled me if this were the first one I ever played. But having done this now so many times and doing all these tricks so many times, it just seemed like it wasn't that hard. So for example, one of the tricks is you got to open the door from the other side, right? First you open the door from the side that you can, the blue side. Or no, first you open it from the red side to get the thing out. Now you got to try to prop it open from the blue side. And how do you do that? Well, you take the little beam in there, now that's blue, right, and now you can open it from the outside and take that out. So now you've effectively propped it open from the outside. And then I think there was only a couple more moves to this. Right, you do that. So that when you let go of the thing, you've got the blue is now completely set. And the only thing you have to worry about is the red. But see, the difficulty there is that you can't charge the red without it intersecting the blue, but it's a really simple solution. You just have to interrupt the blue temporarily with your body to allow the red to run all the way to this thing. And I think I saw, even from this point, that it was going to be okay. We were going to make the intersection. It wasn't going to break the door. It was only going to break that connection. So I think I just kind of saw this is no problem. Yeah, there we go. And there we go. So fun puzzle. In a different parallel universe, I might have gotten stuck on this for hours and hours and hours, but for whatever reason, I was able to just burn through it. Which was very satisfying. To feel like all of this great Talos knowledge that I've been acquiring was I could call upon it
to solve something that was supposed to be hard in a relatively short time. So now we'll go to the next puzzle, which is called, I believe, the Rearranger. And this one I can show in its entirety also. I did not solve it as quickly as I did the last one. This one took over 20 minutes, I think. It's going to be over 10 minutes on this video. But I started just by, doing what you can do. And in the beginning, the only thing you can do is pick up the fan, and then you can trade it for one item. It seemed like the beam was the obvious thing, the connector. And then it seemed like, okay, obviously I need to get 2 blocks so that I can take that out of there. That was my Talos knowledge. I knew that I needed 2 blocks. I saw that there's one there, and there's one behind there, right there. So I have to get that quickly. That's sort of step 1, is to get that block. Because one of the goals in the beginning of any Talos puzzle, do what you can do and also get everything. So I need to collect everything. So here I'm collecting this box, taking a look and then collecting the box, and now I got to collect that connector. Get everything, collect everything, and then do what you can with everything. So I got my 2 boxes. I'm going to do this trick learned from the very early days of Talos. So now I've got all that stuff. And for now, we're just going to focus on moving ahead one step at a time, so get through the red door. And that was quite easy. But there's nothing in there, so got to get through the blue door. Now that was going to be more of a challenge. At first I thought that to get through the blue door, I'm sorry, it's a red door I'm trying to get through. Oh, and the blue door behind it. At this stage, I think I thought that I was going to need to use the drill gun, but I don't actually. The drill gun isn't until one more step. It's not until that last door that I need to use the drill gun, but I think I still got it out. And I was thinking about how it would be necessary, but I think I ended up, forget how I did this exactly. I think I knew that I didn't need the, oh yeah, I was trying to see if I could shoot a beam at an angle here to get that blue, right? I thought that was going to be a likely part of the solution. It ended up not being. But I thought that might be it. But the problem was, even though that would work, I think it could only pick up a red beam. And of course it needs to be blue, right? See, that is going to shoot a red beam because it's going to convert the blue to red. So that wouldn't even do anything anyway. So what did I do here? I know eventually I got the fan and I replaced the connector holding down the pressure plate using the fan, but I'm trying to see what I did before that. Looks like I'm just thinking about it right now. Somehow I've let the camera view slip into first person, which I don't usually do. Sometimes I do that just to get like an angle on something, but then I always switch back, but I am forgetting to do that here. So I'm still just trying to kind of imagine how these different angles might work. I think I realized eventually that I need to move that connector. I need to take that connector, and instead of have it be where it is right now on the pressure plate, I need to move it all the way up to the front of the room. See, I'm looking at the angle right now, I think, so that I can get an angle on it. But if I'm going to bring it up, I need to weigh down the plate with something. And maybe I decide to weigh it down with I don't know what I decided to weigh it down with. Oh, the gun, the hole gun. I think I realized I don't need to make a hole. So maybe I trade the hole gun for the fan, put the fan on the pressure plate, and then move the connector back. I know that's what I do eventually. I just don't know if I did that like right now or what my plan was. Still just looking at all the angles and thinking to myself, yeah, I must be seeing that that's a good angle. So we're going to take the gun back, right, trade it for the fan, put the fan on the plate, move the connector way back up in the room. Right, exactly. And now I can get... Oh, 2 shots, okay. 1 shot to open that gate. And then this shot to open that gate. Right, exactly. And this is going to require some slight modification in order to get through the last door. And I was very pleased when I saw that fan, because thinking about how to get through yet another door without an additional piece of equipment was like blowing my mind. I was thinking, like, how on earth can I do that? But then I saw the fan, and I knew that the fan was not for use, it was for trade. And I figured it must be for trade for the hole gun, because there's no way that the drill hole would not be part of this. There's no way that they would put this drill hole wall purely as a red herring. This game just really doesn't do that. I think Talos 1 did stuff like that a little bit. They had things that just were not at all part of the solution, but Talos 2 has not really seemed to do that. So I think I kind of used a process of backwards logic. I figured, like, a hole through this wall must be the solution, so what can I do? And ultimately the trick here, the thing that I think, the big trick for this puzzle is using the gun to create the hole, putting the red and blue color-changing beam, color-changing connector right in front of the hole on this side of the wall, so that it connects with the red receiver and opens the door, then going through the door and then grabbing it through the hole so that you can use it on the other side. That was the big move, I think, for this puzzle. And I don't know if you ever did something exactly like that in an earlier puzzle, but it definitely was on my mind. And I think I must have, done something like that before. Okay, am I about to make a move? Yeah, I realize I need to get the maximum possible angle here. Get the absolute maximum out of this connector that I can possibly get. I want to get a line of sight that goes deep into the hole, through the door. Right, so pick up that blue connector, take it through the door. Right? Yeah. Except, how's that going to work? Because if I put the red beam right in front of that hole, isn't it going to... Oh, yeah, it was more complicated, so you had to do that, right. But you had to get the blue beam. Right, the blue beam, right, okay, the blue beam goes through the hole. The red beam does not go through the hole, but you have to put the red connector right in front of the hole. And then you can grab it through the hole. So the hole got used in 2 different ways. So that's some good, complicated hole work there. At first, I remember thinking, right, that I might have to shoot 2 beams through the hole, and I was trying to, like, make room. That's what I'm actually doing right now. I'm trying to position this blue beam so that there's room for the red beam to come through the hole, like, right next to it. But I don't really know why I'm thinking that, because there's nothing for the red beam to bounce off of. And I think at some point I just realized the red beam does not go through the hole. The entire red thing has to just go through the hole. Right. So at this point, I think I pretty much know what I'm doing. And there it is. That's the big move. And now it's all, everything else is easy. So I was really pleased with being able to get this one. Not immediately. It took a while to figure everything out, but I didn't have any of these brain farts where I just get stuck and like can't figure out how to do something obvious. So that's the first 6 of these puzzles. And I don't think the last 6 are necessarily going to be harder, but I'm definitely looking forward to them. I know that some of them are supposed to be pretty challenging or have unique quirks. So, we'll see. I'm pumped.